If modern waterproofing products truly solve the problem of moisture, Viking ships would not still be emerging intact from seabeds, nor would thousand-year-old timber structures survive in the damp north. Viking builders lived surrounded by water, salt spray, snowmelt, and freezing rain. Failure was not an inconvenience. It was death at sea or collapse in winter. What they developed was not a coating, but a system that worked with wood instead of against it. This method was so effective that it allowed thin hull planks to survive constant immersion and repeated drying cycles without rotting apart. Understanding it changes how you think about waterproofing entirely. The core Viking insight was simple but critical. Wood must breathe. Any method that traps moisture inside guarantees decay. Instead of blocking water absolutely, Viking builders slowed absorption while ensuring rapid release. Their wood could get wet, but it never stayed wet long enough for fungi to take hold. This mindset explains why many modern sealants fail. They promise total exclusion, then crack, peel, or trap moisture underneath. Viking treatments assumed imperfection and planned for it. Vikings were, absolutely ruthless about their wood choice. Ship planks were often split from straight-grained oak, rather than being sawn. You see, splitting followed the natural grain, preserving intact fibres that resisted water penetration. Broken fibres act like open straws. Intact fibres, on the other hand, really do resist absorption. Trees were cut in winter when the sap was low. Lower sugar content meant, less food for rot organisms. If you apply this today, choose dense, straight-grained wood and avoid fast-grown lumber with wide rings and weak fibres. Before any treatment, Viking timber was air-seasoned for extended periods. This reduced internal moisture slowly, which prevented cracks. Cracks are not just cosmetic flaws. They're actually moisture highways into the core of the wood. Modern builders can, follow this principle by allowing outdoor wood projects to acclimate fully before sealing or treating. Rushing this step, honestly, defeats even the best preservation methods. The heart of the Viking method was pine tar, produced by slow-burning resin-rich pine roots and stumps in low oxygen pits. This was not modern industrial tar. It was thin, penetrative, and rich in natural antifungal compounds. Applied warm pine tar soaked deeply into wood fibres, repelling liquid water while remaining vapour-permeable. It discouraged insects, fungi, and marine organisms without hardening the surface into a brittle shell. For practical application today, pine tar can be gently warmed and brushed onto dry wood. Multiple thin applications outperform one thick coat. The wood darkens, but its resilience increases dramatically. Pure pine tar can be too viscous. Vikings often thinned it with animal fats or linseed oil. This increased penetration and flexibility. The oil fed the wood fibres, reducing brittleness and surface checking. A practical modern mixture uses pine tar thinned with boiled linseed oil. Applied warm, this mixture sinks into the grain instead of forming a surface film. maintenance becomes simple reapplication, not stripping and recoating. In high-exposure areas, such as keel sections, posts or shoreline structures, Vikings sometimes lightly charred the wood surface. This, you see, closed surface pores, destroyed existing spores, and altered the chemistry of the outer layer. Charring was followed by oiling or tarring, creating a composite defence. The char resisted moisture intrusion, while the oil maintained flexibility. Fence posts treated this way still outperform pressure-treated lumber in many environments. Waterproofing alone was never the full solution. Viking structures shed water aggressively. Roofs were steep. Ship planks overlapped in clinker construction, allowing water to drain and air to circulate. Wood rarely sat in stagnant moisture. Applying this today means, well, elevating wood off soil, increasing airflow, and designing joints that shed water instead of trapping it. No treatment can compensate for poor design. Because Viking-treated wood dried fully after each exposure, fibres hardened instead of decaying. Over time, the wood stabilized, becoming more resistant with each season. This is why, ancient timbers often feel denser than new lumber. This process only works when wood can dry completely. Any method that blocks vapor movement interrupts this cycle and, well, accelerates decay. Laboratory coatings aim for uniformity and permanence. Viking methods embraced variability and maintenance. A scratched surface was not failure. It was easily retreated. No sanding, no solvents, no specialized tools. This adaptability is really the reason why the method remains superior for boats, outdoor structures, homesteads, and survival settings. Basically anywhere repairability matters more than appearance. So, to apply the Viking method today, you'll want to start with dry, dense wood. Make sure there's good airflow and drainage in your design. Lightly char those high-risk areas if it makes sense. Then warm up pine tar and thin it with linseed oil. Apply thin coats and, well, allow for slow curing. And remember, reapply as needed, not just when failure occurs. This truly is not a shortcut. It is a system proven by centuries of real exposure. If this deep dive into Viking craftsmanship expanded how you think about durability, do consider subscribing to Backyard Wisdom for more field-tested knowledge pulled from history, not product labels. And hey, share this guide with builders, homesteaders, and serious survivalists who care about wood that survives decades, not just seasons.